Hello, everybody. Welcome to Calls. This is your 2021 PGA Palmetto Championship Initial Research Show. I am Nick, your host, and we're going to go over the Palmetto Championship coming up this weekend shortly. But first, we're going to look back a little bit at what just happened at the Memorial, an exciting tournament. Unfortunate circumstances around Jon Rahm. Wish him, the best. Get healthy in time for the U.S. Open. The way I understand it is he is quarantined until the day before the U.S. Open. And whatever your stance is or how you feel about this circumstance, the game is in a much better place when young, charismatic, excellent golfers are able to play. So all the best to Jon Rahm. You're going to be hard pressed to convince me that he wasn't going to win this championship at Jack's place this weekend. Anything can happen on a Sunday, I granted, but he was cruising. He was dominating that golf course, up 6 shots going into Sunday. Gets the unfortunate news, but those are the circumstances. An exciting Sunday finish. You had 3 golfers, Scheffler, Morikawa, and Cantlay, all battling. Scheffler would have been his breakout win. Missed the putt on 18 that essentially eliminated him. Then the 18th hole in regulation with Cantlay and Morikawa. Cantlay hits a great putt, doesn't go in. Morikawa saves, go to the playoff hole, and then it's a test of an up and down game. And as I stated last week, Colin Morikawa, one of the best, maybe the best iron player in the world. If he starts to depend on the short game, he's going to be in trouble. And even though Cantlay had a longer putt to win, to force Morikawa to make it, you felt better about Cantlay. At least you needed to. Not only was it the same line as his putt in regulation that didn't go in, Cantlay's just a better putter. And I'll show you some stats that backs that up. But congratulations to Patrick Cantlay. I hope your bets did well, because if I had an ass, I lost it. I felt pretty good about Patrick Reed going into Sunday, especially when he jumps out to that birdie on 1, thinking, all right, here we go, Patrick Reed stalking. And then he kind of just parred out from there. Couldn't make any headway. Matsuyama, he makes the cut. He's at -3 heading into the weekend and then implodes, shoots almost, I think he shoots 79-76, which not good. Complete blow up. And then you had my bet of Brandon Hagee, the top 40, and rewind when I said last week, hey, it's a shorter field event. If you're going to make the cut, you're basically in the top 40. Well, Brandon Hagee made the cut, did top 40, egg on my face. But I felt pretty good about the analysis, the algorithm that goes into that. But still didn't win. So, DFS side I did okay. Made up for the losses in the outright bets, but that's the way it goes. How did you do? Leave a comment down below in the comment section. Tell me how you did. Would love to hear it. Smash that like button, whether you did well or whether you didn't and my advice sucked, or you didn't take my advice and you did well. Either way, smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Appreciate the support. And without further ado, one other announcement. I have worked on trying to fix the settings with the web page versus the Excel spreadsheet. Might not be the smoothest transition, but hopefully they're going to be easy to read, and I'll get better at transitioning those. So hopefully this first attempt at that won't be too bad. And again, let me know how it works out in the comments, whether it's readable or the transitions are bad or whatnot. But without further ado, let's get into the initial Palmetto research. So we're going to go over here, and you see Fantasy National and all stats provided by Fantasy National. Excellent resource. Please go check it out. It's well worth the price. Just an amazing tool I have used and continue to use in the daily fantasy realm and sports betting realm, particularly with golf. It's just an amazing tool. I'll recap the excuse me while I adjust the mouse here. I'll recap the memorial here again just quickly. So this was the kind of the default analytics heading into the memorial. Strokes gained total, Spieth was playing the best. No surprise, he's been on fire. He's been playing well. Schauffele and all that stuff. So Colin Morikawa, probably passed him. We'll go look for strokes gained approach. Colin Morikawa, so he was 14th. So Colin Morikawa here, best tee to green, best in ball striking, tee to green, meaning any shots hit from the tee box to the point you reach the green. Ball striking is only off the tee and approach. His short game has historically not been good. Off the tee is good. Approach, obviously the best. Around the green is iffy. And putting's always been bad. He is not a very good putter. And this is why I said in the opening, if it had to come down to a short game contest, which the playoff hole did, Colin Morikawa was going to be in trouble. And that kind of bared out. Now, is everyone going to make every 6-footer? No, they're not. But given the situation, given the circumstances, I was very confident that Cantlay was going to win. Once those two were around the green, into Cantlay in the bunker, Morikawa deep in the rough in between the bunkers. And the great thing with Fantasy National here, they have a tab about in-tournament stats. So we'll take a look here. I think I already had it up, but this is a live look leaderboard of strokes gained total in the basic categories. And you'll see here that it looks like Colin Morikawa had a great week of putting, and he certainly did. 6th as opposed to Cantlay's 19th on the week in the field. Of course, since they tied in regulation, they're going to be the same in strokes gained total. But I want you to notice something. Remember, when he, coming into the week, is it not changing? There it goes. Yeah. Going into this week, let's get me out of the way there. He's 103rd. Bad. I mean, really bad at putting. Historically not good. And you'll hear statisticians and data people talk about regression to the mean. What that means is there are certainly outlier performances as, let's say, this is the perfect example. Colin Morikawa is 6th on the week in strokes gained putting, but over time he's 103rd in this field. Regression to the mean means the more data that would get gathered, he would be closer to 103rd than the 6th. He had a great week. Not gonna argue with you on that. But if he's having a round like this, 6th in putting, and historically is 103rd, the common theme among statisticians when they talk about regression to the mean is that is going to normalize back to what their baseline performance is, which is going to be 103rd. Round one, and the great thing again about Fantasy National, it breaks down per round their strokes gained. So in round one, Colin Morikawa was pretty good, 21st. Round two, he started to slip back, already showing that previous form of 98th. I was actually surprised to see in round three he was very good, and in round four he was excellent. So that 6-foot putt might have been one of the only ones he missed in that around that distance, because I know on 17 he hit a very crucial par save putt that was that length or maybe a couple feet beyond it after Cantlay had birdied 17. So Morikawa was putting well, but again, as a data person, as a statistician, I'm always going to believe in regression to the mean until something explains why an improvement or disimprovement or what's the word I'm looking for? Deterioration, I guess, happens. And you've kind of seen that with Ricky Fowler. I mentioned last week on the DraftKings strategy that Do you believe in Patrick Cantlay his one good tournament at the PGA, bringing his form back when he had about two or 2.5 months of bad runs by Patrick Cantlay standards? And I said I was a lot more comfortable betting on Patrick Cantlay or confident in that Cantlay would return to his form as opposed to Ricky Fowler returning to his old form. Turns out they're both seemingly returning to form. Yes, Cantlay won the tournament. It's easier to say that. But, Ricky, I think he had a top 10 this week, top 15. So certainly Ricky has figured something out, at least seemingly. And when you look at it, so he was tied for 11th. Siwoo and Aaron Wise, who I have in a league, a season-long league, they each tied for 9th. So Ricky tied for 11th with Xander. When Ricky was making his hay, he was putting. He's always been a good iron player. He's always been good off the tee. But Ricky was known as a very good putter on the green and all that. And that bears out round 4. He was the best putter in the tournament for round 4 only. Now, if you go to all rounds, Ricky's back, at least in the putting realm. If he can keep his numbers kind of baseline at what they've pretty much been. They've declined somewhat in the past, year and a half to 2 years of this dry spell. But if he returns to this form of 9th in putting, Ricky's going to be a force to be reckoned with again. Excuse me while I take a swig of Gatorade. But this tournament ended up, minus the Jon Rahm situation, kind of how I thought it might. This has historically been a place where people have gotten their breakthrough wins. Patrick Cantlay, for example, won this in 2019. That was what some people can believe to be his breakthrough win. Colin Morikawa hasn't won the Memorial Tournament, but he won at this same course in the WGC Workday. Scotty Scheffler would have been his breakthrough win. Patrick Reed, no explanation needed. Shane Lowry, the winner of the Open. But a lot of times, Scheffler, Streelman, Hoag was up there, or Hoag was up there for a while. A lot of this tournament has produced these jumping off points for people's careers, and it looked like for a long while it could have been Scotty Scheffler's moment. Again, played great. Kind of took himself out of contention there on 18 when he missed the par save. But I just wanted to quickly touch on the recap of the Memorial. Patrick Cantlay wins. Why I felt really good about Cantlay, considering the stats behind Morikawa's short game weakness and so on and so forth. With that, I am going to now turn my attention to the Palmetto Championship. And this is being played in South Carolina at a course called Congaree. Congaree, I don't know. This is a brand new tournament. It's my understanding that the 2021 Canadian Open, due to Canada's restrictions on COVID-19 and travel, the PGA needed to fill in the week. And apparently this Congaree golf club stepped in, and they're going to play the Palmetto Championship the week before the U.S. Open. The week before the major, that should signal to you that it's going to be a lesser field, a not as high quality of a field, and that is certainly the case. Although there's a couple exceptions this week, which surprised me. Normally, a week before a major, the stars are either going out and preparing a practice round out there or resting. Obviously, in Jon Rahm's case, he has no choice. He has to quarantine. But a lot of times you'll see a lot of the bigger names take off the week before a major. Generally what happens is you'll have these what I'll call last-minute qualifiers, and they're certainly qualifying, I believe it's tomorrow, for the U.S. Open. But if you win this tournament, you're in the U.S. Open. So a lot of last-minute qualifiers, or what I'll call last-minute people, are trying to get their last chance at qualifying, or Euros coming over and practicing stateside before before a major. That's usually what happens. So a quick initial look at the field, and I'm hoping it's not getting terribly cut off. You can see the second, third, and fourth. There's also one person here. It doesn't look like it's terribly cut off. I'll just go through some highlights of the field. There will be two notable exceptions of big names, or normally big names that people might understand or might recognize. Sorry. So Ben On, pretty good player, can't putt. I don't know if he's qualified for the U.S. Open or not. If not, he's clearly one of the better players in this field. Lucas Bjerregaard, believe he's Danish, I think. He's a very good European player. Really made some waves last year. I think he was a semifinalist in the match play. So he put his name out in the golfing community through there and had a couple of good high finishes last year. Rafa Cabrera Bello, he hasn't played very well the past couple of years, but he's another Spaniard talent that has had some pretty good runs historically. Kevin Chappell, coming off injury, I believe 2 years ago, and he's working through it. He was working through it last year, and I thought this year he might have something. Seems like he's still trying to get back in form. He used to be a very, very, I think, top 20 maybe player in the world. Harris English has always been good. Tommy Fleetwood and Matthew Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick has been playing very well this year stateside. A lot of people know Tommy Fleetwood. He's not trained. He hasn't had the success stateside as he has on the Euro Tour. He's very prolific on the European Tour. Your typical Euro, your Linksy style player, but his iron play is exquisite, and it hasn't translated here stateside, and people are waiting for that to happen. Trying to think here. Doug Gims, an analytical darling. He should be winning more tournaments based on the stats than he is, or at least competing. He's another one that's having trouble with putting. Brandon Grace, you just saw, he finished third. I think third. No, fourth. Excuse me. He finished fourth this week. You know, he's playing. He's trying to get into the U.S. Open. Padraig Harrington, the Ryder Cup captain for Europe this year. Tyrrell Hatton, top 10 player in the world, so he's here. He's from England, I believe. Garrick Higo is a two-time winner on the European Tour in the past month and a half. He's had at least one win in 2 seconds. It might be 2 wins and a second, but he's been very good on the European Tour. Charlie Hoffman's just playing lights out right now. And here you're going to start seeing 2 or 3 names. Sung Jae, who's not been playing well, just missed the cut at the Memorial, missed the cut on the number, is a very, very talented player, very young, is just not playing well lately. And I was a little surprised to see him here. Then again, maybe not, just because he's trying to find something before the U.S. Open. I know he's qualified for that. And then the next person on the list, I am surprised that Dustin Johnson's here. My guess, and I don't know Dustin Johnson, obviously, this is only a hypothetical guess. I imagine he's trying to get some competitive rounds in. He hasn't played in many tournaments lately. My guess is he's just trying to get some. If he doesn't make the cut, it wouldn't surprise me. Is he's just trying to get some competitive rounds in him before the U.S. Open. Kevin Kisner, good player, not playing well lately. Common theme here. Then the other person that I was very, very surprised to see, especially given health, is Brooks Koepka. Brooks is here this week, and I would surmise it's kind of the same as Dustin Johnson, that he's trying to get some competitive rounds in. But it's, given his history of knee issues and whatnot, I would have thought he would have laid back, taken it easy this week before the U.S. Open. But I guess he's going to go test it out and see what it's like. Maybe he comes through and just blitzes this field and beats everybody by 20 strokes, because that's Brooks Koepka. But I was surprised to see Brooks in here along with DJ. Tom Lewis, another good Englishman, playing not the best right now, but he's very talented. Trying to get Alex Noren, good Swedish player. Used to be really known for his short game prowess on tough courses. Now he's just a birdie fest machine. You go to these alternate events like Corrales and the Puerto Rican Open. He's always up there when it's kind of switched from what he used to be. You wanted to target him on tougher courses. And we'll get to the course here at Congaree here in a second. People might know Ian Poulter from Ryder Cups, the bane of Americans' existence. Good player. You've got Doc Redman, good young up and coming player. So again, Brant Snedeker is here, but not a lot of superstar talent, which is to be expected. It's to be expected. Harold Varner's been playing well lately. So Danny Willett's a former Masters champion. But yeah, there's not a lot of superstar talent behind Brooks and Dustin Johnson. And sorry if the scrolling is bothering you, but Brooks and DJ and Sungjae are clearly the three big names. The golf community would include Tyrrell Hatton. I'm just saying by household names here in America, it's DJ and Brooks. Some people might know Sungjae, some people not. Some people might know Tyrrell Hatton, some not. Those are 3 to 4 big name players in this field, and then a lot of guys who are either trying to keep in good form before the U.S. Open or trying to qualify for the U.S. Open. So, which leads me to the conclusion of, and again, we'll get into this tomorrow on the data dive, particularly with DraftKings and betting, but I imagine you're going to get single digits on Dustin Johnson and Brooks Koepka. I would be surprised if either of those are at 10-1 to win. And I understand why, especially with the general public knowing those two and probably not knowing a lot of these other players. It's going to be really hard for me to see those two. I mean, if they're not under 10, they're going to be no more than 10 or 11-1. I would say Sungjae and Tyrrell Hatton might push 15 just in case these two DJ and Brooks garner all of the attention at the top of the leaderboard or at the top of the betting board. But I mean, Sungjae and Tyrrell Hatton, I don't see them going any more than 15 at all. I'd be surprised. And then from there, you might have 0 from 15 to 20 to 25 to 1. They might push Grace a little bit since he just played well. Fitzpatrick's been playing well. He might be 20 to 1 or so. I mean, yeah, there's not a lot of the big name power that draws a lot of attention and bets. So my guess is that you'd have 4 big people at the top of the betting board, 15 to 1 and under, 2 being probably 10 to 1 or under, and then a lot of guys that are 25, 30 to 1 and above. And what I think, because of the 2 big names and really the 4 best players in the field, in my opinion, being a pretty good cut above the rest, I think you're going to see a lot more just absolute long shots and the level of the long shots. So if somebody were to be 100 to 1 normally, I would probably venture. Well, there's 2 ways you can go about it because the field is so top heavy. That might push the 100 to 1 to 75 or 80 to 1 just because there's no one to fill in that void. Or it could go the other way where the top 4 are so top heavy and garnering all the bets that 101 turns into be 125 to 1 because books and public don't think that they're going to beat the big 4. I can see it going either way. My inclination at first thought was to say that they would go from 100 to 125. Again, I could be wrong. Let me know what you think in the comments. Tell me one name that you're looking at other than DJ and Brooks behind the top two dogs in the field, tell me a name that you're looking at in your early research and your early estimation for this week. So that's a look at the field, a quick look at the field, and of course it might update. You could get withdrawals and so on and so forth. I guess I should go down and list some alternates. Apologies for the scrolling. So alternates. So if someone were to withdraw, Parker McLaughlin would be first. You got Derek Ernst, Robert Garrigus, Sweet Carl Peterson, Chopra, Aresti, Hinsby, Purdy, Brendan DeYoung, Eric Axley. Yeah, like there's just not a lot here. So I think the top four are going to garner a lot of attention in the betting in the betting market, on the betting board, and in DraftKings salary. But we'll get into that in the Data Dive show. But that's my first impression when I saw the field. So now let's look at the actual course, Congaree Golf Club, and this course, as I understand it, was started in 2018. Very new course. I have not seen any professional level tournaments played at Congaree. I could be mistaken. I did not check Korn Ferry very thoroughly. I don't believe the LPGA has been here. I don't believe PGA Champions has been here. It's a brand new course. Again, it's located in South Carolina. I think it's Ridgeland, South Carolina. I'm not entirely sure. What I can tell you is out in the middle of nowhere in South Carolina. Let's see if I can scroll out here. And it's north of Savannah, Georgia. And yeah, I don't know if I'll get any indicators here, but it's I got a couple of different things. It's Garrettsonville, Ridgeland, South Carolina, but I just searched Congaree Golf Club. In fact, I'll just do a quick search. I want Wikipedia because that'll usually give at least some information. Of course, you can always trust Wikipedia because Wikipedia. So yeah, it says Gillisonville. So there you go. Located in Jasper County, outside of Ridgeland, in Gillisonville, South Carolina. There you go. It is from what I see here. You can tell it is a long course. 7,600 yards. This is not the cleanest for me to parse, so I made a spreadsheet for you here, and I'll show you that a little bit cleaner here in a second. But it looks like there's quite a bit of sand. I'm assuming this is sand bunkerage. I don't really know. There's a little bit of water that'll come into play. It looks like 18. Your approach is over water to the right. You've got hole 3. Looks like you're teeing off over water. Again, these being pros, I don't know if that will really come into play, but I don't know. I don't know anything really about this course. Looks like hole 8, you're teeing up over water. Hole 4, looks like water comes into the approach on the right. 5, so 5 definitely goes over. It's a par 3, looks like it goes over water. 9's approach looks like it goes into the water. So there looks like there's a bit of water, a bit of trouble on this course. You got a little bit of water over here as well. So that's my early inclination that there's a little bit of water. It looks like a really, really long course, and I am going to do my best here. This might go haywire for just a second, but I am going to. So hopefully that transitioned fairly cleanly and easily. This is just an easier visual at Palmetto Golf Club. You'll see that the front, it's a par 72. The front 9 actually plays to a par 37, so you have 3 par 5s on the front, and then 1 par 5 and 3 3s on the back. I believe that's right. No, just one par 5 on the back, but you have the 2 3s like normal on the front and the back. The front 9 looks very long. You've got a short-ish par 5, but a 520-yard par 4, a 650-yard par 5, again another almost 600-yard par 5. But this looks like a very fun course, at least by the numbers, because then you have a 335-yard par 4. So this sounds like a drivable risk-reward type hole. Think the 10th at Riviera. What used to be at Memorial, there used to be a drivable par 4 that was all risk-reward. And I think they changed that in the redesign. But the front 9 looks to be really long. Kind of highlighted by the par 5 here and the par 4 there. Oh, and this par 4 is also 512 yards. The front 9 looks to be really, really long. The back 9 isn't short by any means. It's par 35 at 3,700 yards. And you've got a 250-yard par 3, so I imagine most of that yardage is taking up from the back 9 on this. You do have a fairly lengthy par 5. And you've got a very, very, very long par 4 here. But other than these 2 holes, it looks to be somewhat PGA Tour standards. 486 is a little long, but nothing outrageous that guys on the PGA Tours don't see from week to week. 512 is very long. 522 is very long. 540 is astronomically long for a par 4. So again, based on just a rudimentary search, and feel free to correct me in the comments if you know more about this course than I do. Plays about 7,600 yards, par 72, and it's going to be a pretty good test, at least from what I'm gathering. It's going to be a pretty good test. So hopefully that was a cleaner way to look at the scorecard just by hole and par, yardages and such. Because when I first saw the website, it was a little hard to see. Let me now transition back to the webpage view. And what I liked about this course, at least, there is I think it's this one, this tab, Course Finder. There was one. It's either this one or the yardage chart I was looking through earlier. Yeah, it wasn't this one. So the yardage chart gave a pretty good in-depth hole by hole. Yeah, this is it. So again, I don't want to spend too much time going hole by hole, but it'll be interesting to see when water and such can come into play. First hole looks to be a fairly normal-ish par 4, 300-yard drive into a green that looks protected by a bunker short and right. Hole 2, a par 4. Where am I? Let's see. I wonder. There it is. Oh, par 5, 580. So my guess is the 300 is here. So the layup there, at least for normal players. I think the big hitters will probably be able to go in 2. It doesn't look like there's much on this hole. Green again protected in the front by bunkers. This will be the fun one, I believe. So this is the par 4, 335 yards. This I can see them setting up in a number of ways to be the risk-reward hole, drivable par 4 versus laying up wedge par 4. It does. I mean, again, as professionals go, I don't think water's going to come into play on this hole. But if you're laying up, you're going to be hitting either a driving iron or a long iron into a wedge yardage, or bigger hitters. DJ and Brooks could drive this green. Again, I don't know anything about the undulations on the green. I don't know anything. I don't know anything about the stimp meter, how fast they are. I just know that these are Bermuda greens. I have seen that these are Bermuda greens. So your guess is as good as mine now whether driving is going to be beneficial, like driving the green on this hole 3 would be beneficial. I have no idea. Maybe there's too much undulation. I don't. But there's no water. You got some bunkers here on the right. It looks like you have a little bit of bailout here left, but quickly goes into some native area maybe. So I can see the PGA setting this up as a very risk-reward drivable par 4. Here's the massive beast. Par 5, 647 yards. Not knowing anything about altitudes and distance travels and so on and so forth for here, this seems like it's an automatic 3-shot par 5. Maybe if someone absolutely crushes a drive and a 3-wood, maybe they can get there. But this feels like an absolute 3-shotter par 5, which brings a lot of other players into it that aren't the longest off the tee. I'm trying to go through the field as we talked about in the beginning of this. I'm thinking of, let's see, I don't know, was Brendan Todd in this? If Brendan Todd's in this is kind of his design, the way he wants to play a par 5, hit 2 good shots in the fairway to set up a wedge, which he's normally very good with. Someone like Ches Reavie. I know Ches Reavie's playing here. Ches isn't the longest. He's certainly not short by any means, but he's not the longest player off the tee. But generally his irons and his wedges are decent. This is kind of his style of par 5. Find the fairway, hit to a good yardage for your wedge, and then try to get it close. So I can see this par 5. A lot of people would think that it would favor DJ and Brooks just because of the length, and certainly maybe those two can reach it in 2. I think this works the other way. I think it's going to bring a whole lot more players evenly split into this hole, since it seems to be a natural 3-shotter, which the good thing for DJ is he's such a good wedge player, he's probably going to be A-okay on this hole anyway. But the interesting thing here, if people are going for it in 2, you really don't have any bailout. That's going to be the thing here. You got water on the right. Looks like native area here on the left. It'd be really fun if that's a pot bunker. I have no idea, but it looks like a bunker guards the front of this green. This looks like it's going to be a fun hole to watch. Hole 5, again, this water probably will come into play on this, is my guess. Short par 3. I don't know anything about elevation, whether they're hitting downhill, uphill, but looks like a, quote, simplistic par 3 hitting over water. You got bunker protected left. I don't know if that's maybe a tree to the right. So if they want to tuck a pin right in here, you're gonna have you have to fade it or cut it into that hole location. And it's something to think about. Or if they tuck one back left, if you're gonna try to hit a fade, you're gonna be bringing that bunker in. So you need to hit a draw. I guess it kind of depends on how they have that hole set up for the day. That looks like a straightforward par 3. 6th hole, long par 4, 522, second longest par 4 on the course. Driving over some native area maybe. Looks like a fairly narrow fairway. Then again, this fairway could be 80 yards wide. I don't know, but it looks like by satellite imaging, looks like a fairly narrow fairway. Keep it in between the native area to a long iron approach to, looks like bailout area front and right, maybe even a little long, but you can't go left. Maybe that's just native area sand like they played at Kiowa, and it really isn't a big deal, but looks like left is a big penalty here. So that's a long par 4 that'll favor the long hitters. Another par 3 that looks like water can come into play. 192 yards. Again, no idea if it's up or downhill, but looks like a fun little par 3, especially if they tuck a pin Oh, that'd be fun if this is like a false front here and they tuck a pin in the front. That'd be interesting to see. It looks like a straightforward par three. Eighth hole, par five. Again, I don't think water is going to really come into play off the drive. This is showing it as a three shotter. I imagine if a guy hits a well hit tee shot of over 300 yards on the right here, I imagine most will probably try to go for it there. But again, just looks like a kind of like a classic double dog leg. You got fairway to the right, and then the fairway wants to swoop back around. So fun little design of a hole. Bunker native area right. Looks like there's quite a bit of bailout area on these holes if you know where to miss or how to miss around this course. So that's the eighth. The ninth, a long par four to end the front nine. Requires a good drive. Looks like the fairway's pretty wide here, but the approach shot narrows considerably with this water on the right. Looks like you got native area or bunker front left, short left, maybe some bailout room right. Long and left. So that looks like a decently fun hole. The key here, you can't go right with the approach shot, obviously. But it looks like the fairway's fairly wide to hit. So that'll wrap up the front nine. Hopefully I'm not boring you to death. I'm just trying to go hole by hole to give us an idea here, because this is the first time I'm seeing this course at all. I just found this site, kind of clicked through it to make sure it had all the information it did. I didn't go much beyond that because I am seeing this for the first time, as you are, for watching the stream. Thanks for the support, by the way. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel. Looks like the back nine starts with a par three, fairly straightforward. Long par three, 203 yards, bunker, short and right, straightforward. The 11th, ooh, that looks fun. 486 yards. I have some serious doubts that you're able to cut this, because I believe this yellow line's 300. If I am reading the site correctly. So I mean, it's going to be a good tee shot just to clear what looks like a creek and some swamp area, or some native area to 300, and then you have a mid iron in with bunkers again on the right. Looks like bailout area left and short, and the green guarded here on the right. So that looks like it could be a fun hole, especially given wind conditions, and we'll check the wind as the last part of this initial research show, but looks like a fairly fun hole. I'd be interested to see how this tee shot shapes, whether this really actually comes into play or not. Obviously it looks like if you're anywhere right, you're in trouble anyway. I'm more curious to see if guys like if DeChambeau were here, which he's not here this week, if he would actually maybe try to cut this area of the hole off. I kind of want to see how that looks this week when they're playing it. So there's hole 11. Hole 12, par 5. Looks like it's probably the most, what I'll say, gettable par 5, in the sense of going for it in 2 with lack of penalty. Again, requires a good tee shot, obviously, but there's not a lot of danger, I would say, around going for it here. You've got some native area or bunker, looks like left and right, but if you go long, it looks like you've got a lot of room to play with, depending on how, if it's fairway cut, if it's closely mown. A lot of that I just don't know, but that looks like this could be a very gettable par 5. Still fairly long at 575, but not astronomical, not unreachable. So that's an interesting hole. I'd like to see how that plays out. Looks like the fairway could be a little wide there too, so maybe not in danger of missing the fairway. Hole 13, looks like water can come into play on the left here. I think that's what that is, maybe a creek. It requires an accurate tee shot. Right is bad, not necessarily a penalty, but right is bad, you're in sand. Left is penalty. but you're left with a very short iron in if you hit a good drive. Given a 300-yard drive, you got 158 yards in. That's, pitching wedge, 9-iron for most of these guys, maybe even less. That just shows you how bad I am as a golfer. But yeah, so this looks like this is the epitome of a good driving hole. You want your accuracy right here for hole 13. 14, straightaway par 3 it looks like. All right, so here's the 250-yard par 3. So if it's 250 yards, I highly doubt water's going to come into play unless it's a complete Nick Shank. Looks like a lot of miss room minus front left. So depending on the wind, this could be a brute of a par 3. There was talk, during the practice rounds at Kiowa, there was a par 3 in the back that guys were hitting driver into the par 3 and not able to get it there just because of the amount of wind. So I'd be interested to see how the wind plays on this hole. If it's into the wind, this is going to be about a par 3.8 almost. This is a long par 3. 15 looks like this is another very, very short par 4. Requires a good accurate tee shot. It looks like you got water on the right to I would say fairly exposed green. You've got bunker or native area all right, but I mean, looks like it's a narrow green but long green. So your left and right can't be off, but if you have your distance dialed in, you're not going to be off left or right too much anyway, I don't think. Looks like you would need better. It's better to miss long and short than left and right on this approach shot, is my guess. And again, all of this depends on how this, what I'll call bailout area is. Is it closely mown? Is it rough? Is it fairway cut? I don't know. So yeah, that looks like a fairly straightforward hole. Once you get past the tee shot, keep it in the fairway. Probably a scoring opportunity would be my guess. Hole 16, straightaway par 4. Looks nothing much to it. Again, native sand on the right. Hit it straight. That's why I would not be good at this on this hole. I don't hit it straight. All you hit it straight, you'll be all right. Hole 17, par 4. Okay, here's the real dandy. Par 4, 540 yards. Looks like they're saying 310 to here, plus 229 approach shot from 229. So I mean, the guys are still hitting long to maybe high mid iron. I'm thinking maybe 5-iron and above coming into this hole, unless somebody just blisters a tee shot. You get enough wayward. You could get some water. I don't think this is really going to come into play though. It looks like you just got more, again, bunkerage or sand. If you find the fairway, looks like your miss is long. So look, my initial inclination going through these holes looks like wedge players could be very, very good here. And even though if you're having to hit a wedge as your third shot on a par 4, if you're a good wedge player, you're more than likely going to save that par. Whereas if you're someone, again, I don't want to pick on him, but if you're someone like Colin Morikawa, whose short game is not his strong suit, this could be a difficult course for you unless you are really dialed in with your yardages, your irons, and so on. Initial inclination, I'm getting a sense that wedge players are going to do pretty good here. But that's hole 17. And lastly, hole 18. Looks like it's a dog leg right. It says 290 to 123. So again, another wedge. I'm curious to see if guys will actually take on this water. I doubt they will. I highly doubt they will, but if somebody wants to get ballsy, wants to get creative, see if they can't hit one to here and then give themselves a flip wedge in. But dogleg right, I don't think the water's really going to come into play unless you want to tackle this dogleg, which strategically I don't know if you'd want to do anyway. So it looks like there's a bit of water that comes into play, especially on approach shots. A lot of bunkers and native area. This seems like it could be a course, even though it's long. This seems like it's a wedge player's course, at least from first inspection. Now, come back tomorrow and I find out that I'm just a bumbling idiot and you have to hit the ball long here, then everything else goes out the window. So, but that's what it seems to be right now. So that's your initial look at the course. And then lastly, before in the episode, the closest wind radar tower that I could find to the golf course is Beaufort Marine Corps base in South Carolina, and I think it's east of the course. I know that it's south and east of the course, but being weather, this is a Sunday night. By Thursday morning, it could be completely different. But as a first look, looks like Thursday, you've got fairly benign winds. Looks like it could gust into the afternoon, but fairly sustained calm winds. Same for Friday. Saturday looks like it's going to get a little windier, and then Sunday looks beautiful. Sunday looks like a beautiful day. High in the 84, as an 84. It looks like it's going to be hot both Thursday and Friday with peaks of 95 and 93. So hot, maybe humid. I don't really know. Maybe not 30%. Maybe air pressure. But definitely hot. Maybe a little breezy on Saturday, but other than that, it's just a long, hot, difficult course. So that's your first initial look at the Palmetto Championship at Congaree Golf Course. Tune in tomorrow as we'll dive into the data for Fantasy National and betting at DraftKings or other books, but I generally use DraftKings. So until tomorrow, may all your bets be profitable.